I get asked this question constantly. Out of Mercer, Bennett, ATS, Landstar, which one is actually the best company for an owner-operator to lease onto? Today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all four. You guys have asked us, and you've been waiting on this for a long time. We're going to tell you what works, what doesn't, and at the end, I'm going to tell you how we rank them and why. And before we go any further, I also want to give a big shout out to Admiral Merchants. Admiral Merchants is a respected company with a strong reputation, and we will talk a little bit about them later in this video, including why they wasn't included in this Big Four comparison. But for today, though, we're focusing on Mercer, Bennett, ATS, and Landstar because they represent four different operating structures that owner-operators are choosing between every single day. Now, let's start with Bennett. Bennett is known for overdimensional and specialized freight, especially with their OD contractors, their heavy haul, and their oversized loads. When drivers have the experience, the right equipment, and a strong understanding of permits, routing, escorts, and securement, Bennett can offer some of the highest earning potentials in trucking. But that earning potential comes with big responsibility. This isn't forgiving freight. One mistake can erase a lot of your profit. Bennett works extremely well for experienced specialists, but it's not built for the average everyday owner-operator. Next is ATS. ATS is a large carrier with a very wide customer base, and because of that, the drivers' experiences varied a lot. Some of the owner-operators do great at ATS, especially those who understand the program clearly and they manage their expenses aggressively. But where we consistently heard concerns from the drivers and the settlements, there was a lot of volatility and deductions in lease purchase, especially in the lease purchase structures. That's where we've seen a lot of issues at. But ATS isn't the worst option, but it requires discipline, realistic expectations, and strong financial awareness from the driver from day one. Now let's talk about Landstar because this one gets misunderstood the most by far out of all of them. Landstar is not one single experience. Different divisions operate very differently. Drivers in specialized or heavy haul divisions often report a better experience than drivers running dry van or general freight. On the dry van side, we hear more about competition, more agent turnover, and more inconsistency. Landstar operates on an agent-based model. Drivers work with independent agents, and the rate a driver sees is the rate the agent presents. For experienced operators who understand negotiation, lanes, and relationships, that system can work well for them. Where it becomes very difficult is for newer owner-operators. Without experience, it's easy to chase bad freight, deadhead excessively, or spend hours on loads that never even materialize. Landstar isn't bad across the board, but outcomes vary widely depending on the divisions, the agent relationships, and your business skills. Now let's talk about Mercer. Mercer is quieter than the others. They don't rely on hype or flashy marketing. Mercer operates on a straightforward percentage-based model. Drivers consistently tell us that they like knowing exactly how they're being paid and what they expect week to week. So there's no forced dispatch, the freight is straightforward, communication is direct, sometimes they get slow in slow season, but Mercer isn't always the highest paying option in a single week, and they don't have every type of freight, but what they do offer is consistency. And in trucking, consistency is often what keeps owner-operators in business long-term. And before we move into the final rankings, I want to address something I already know the comments are going to ask. Some people suggested we include Admiral Merchants. Admiral Merchants is a respected company with a strong reputation, especially among experienced owner-operators. The reason we didn't include them here is simple. This video isn't about listing good companies. It's about comparing different business models. And Admiral operates very similar to Mercer, traditional, percentage-based, transparent, and relationship even driven. So including both would just be comparing two versions of the same system, and that doesn't help drivers understand the trade-offs that they are actually choosing between. So with that being said, Admiral deserves its own standalone conversation, and we are absolutely going to do that for them. But for this video, we are focused on four companies that represent four very different operating structures. All right, now that we've walked through all of these companies in detail, let's slow this down and talk about the rankings. And I want to be very clear about something before I list them. This ranking is not about who has the best marketing. It's not about who has the loudest fans online, and it's not about who can make the most money in a perfect scenario. This ranking is about structure, transparency, consistency, statements, and how repeatable success is for the average owner-operator over time. And who come in number one? Mercer. Mercer finishes at number one because their system removes unnecessary complexity. Drivers understand the percentage, they understand the freight, they understood their expectations. There was no giant agent layer controlling information flow. There's no guessing about whether you're seeing the full picture or not. Mercer also doesn't rely on pressure. There's no forced dispatch, and the drivers make business decisions, not survival decisions. Another major factor for us is driver retention. When drivers stay somewhere for years, not months, that tells you the system is working more often than it's failing. Mercer may not always have the highest single week numbers, but trucking isn't about winning one week. It's about surviving long term. With consistency, predictability, and transparency is the reason why Mercer earned the number one spot. Are you ready for number two? Bennett came in second, and this one is important to explain. Bennett absolutely has one of the highest earning ceilings in the industry for experienced OD contractors. The money can be exceptional. One of the statements that we had gotten out of the group was very impressive. But Bennett is highly specialized. The margin for error is smaller. The responsibility is a lot higher, and the work is not forgiving. That means Bennett isn't realistic for the majority of owner-operators. It's a great system, but only for drivers with the right experience, equipment, and the mindset. That's why Bennett doesn't take the number one spot, not because it was bad, but because Mercer's model works for more drivers more consistent. ATS lands in the middle because it produces very mixed outcomes. Some drivers do well at ATS, especially those who fully understand the program and manage their expenses aggressively, but we consistently hear about settlement volatility, unexpected deductions, and lease structures that didn't perform the way drivers expected over time. As a matter of fact, that's where we had the most complaints was through their lease purchases. ATS isn't the worst option, but it's not predictable enough to rank it any higher. In trucking, unpredictability is very expensive, and when results vary that widely, it puts ATS firmly in the middle of the pack. Now let's talk about Landstar, and this is where nuance matters. Landstar is not last because drivers can't succeed there. Some absolutely do, especially in their specialized or heavy haul divisions. Landstar finished last because outcomes depend too heavily on factors outside of the driver's control. Division matters, agent relationships matter, negotiation skills matters, timing matters. Two drivers can do similar work and have completely different financial results. We have statements that can prove this, and that's a structural issue, not a driver issue. When success depends that much on information, asymmetry in individual relationships, it increases risk for the average owner-operator. And Landstar offers freedom, but freedom without transparency can be very dangerous. And that inconsistency is why Landstar finished last in this comparison. And before we end this, I want to be very clear about something. This video was not sponsored. We do not promote companies. We do not recruit for any of these carriers. And here at Big Rig Nation, we look at real settlements, we review the contracts, we listen to the drivers, their opinions, their experiences, and their stories. Then we look for the patterns and start piecing things together. That's how we arrived at these rankings. Because here at Big Rig Nation, this is what we do, and the drivers always come first.